Whenever Sennheiser releases a new headphone, I have two immediate reactions. The first is that I'm really excited, but the second is that I'm incredibly impatient to hear them. So I bought a pair. This is the HD505. It's their newest open back dynamic driver headphone that's going in the 5 series, and this is a sealed box. I figured I just got it today, why not do a little bit of an unboxing and impressions video. Obviously there will be a full review with measurements and stuff down the line, but for now, as said, incredibly impatient, so let's dive in. Before I dive in, I would be remiss not to mention that everything on this channel is made possible by Headphones.com, who's your premier resource for buying and learning about headphones, IEMs, DACs, amps, speakers, cables, everything in between. They have an incredible 365-day return policy, so if you're unhappy with your purchase, you can just return it. And they also have an incredible customer service division staffed by a few of my friends who are true headphone nerds. Love you, Sam. The first thing I want to touch on here is actually the box itself, which this is not the shipping box. This is, as far as I'm aware, the retail packaging. And I kind of love that it's just a featureless cardboard box. You know, Sennheiser have kind of always been on the more utilitarian, less flashy side of the audiophile hobby. And, you know, if it means they're spending a little bit less on the design of the box and a little bit more on the design of the headphone, seems like a win for me. Let's go ahead and open it now. Okay, so what we get when we open the box is it's encased in a little extra piece of cardboard in there. Oh, it actually does come in a little bag. Let's go ahead and get it out of the bag here. It looks like it comes with so it's a typical 3.5 millimeter threaded connection with a threaded 1/4 inch jack on there. So the headphone itself comes plugged in out of the box, which I'm not sure if I'm a fan of that decision, because I feel like if it gets hit wrong when it's in the box, it could cause one of the jacks to break. But, you know, it seems like everything's okay. The ear pad towards this side is just a little bit smushed inward from sitting in the package, smushing against something. Other side is totally fine. The headband extension is pretty typical of this kind of design. The inside of the ear cup reminds me a little bit of the HD620S because it has an extremely thin front mesh and no front damping at all past that. The only thing damping it is going to be your ear, the pad, and it looks like the baffle, which is a kind of white paper material. The pads seem exactly the same as the HD560S. I don't really sense any difference there. The headband itself looks like the same as the HD599. It's pretty plush on top, actually. I like that. Let's go ahead and see how it fits on my head. Okay, so this is the look of the headphone on my head. I don't know if you can see it past all my hair, but it is quite comfortable. More comfortable than I think the 560S is. I'm noticing that I don't have anything touching the back of my ear, which is not a given with this chassis design. The cable is a 5 series cable. It's the same as it's always been as far as I'm aware. So it's the same as what comes on the HD560S, and I think the HD569 as well. This might be new, but other than that, no real difference. But I've always quite liked the 5 series cable for what it is, actually. Okay, so let's listen to some music. I'm going to be working off of the reference playlist that was recently posted on the headphones.com forum. If you want to find a link to that, that'll be in the description. So the first track I'm going to listen to is Nice Dream by Radiohead. So this record, the bends on the whole is kind of bright. It's one of my favorite records, though. I've heard it a gazillion times on a gazillion systems. And because it's a little bright, it's a nice way to tell me if something is way too bright or if it's actually a little bit dark. So let's see. Okay, so I'm about 48 seconds into the song here, and something I was kind of excited for with this headphone was that it seemed like it would be a little bit darker in the 10 to 12 kilohertz region than a lot of Sennheiser's other headphones. It's working extremely well on my head in that region, such that an area I'm usually sensitive to isn't giving me any problems on this track. Now, I will say there is a little bit of paperiness on the main acoustic guitar ensemble. There's a little bit of kind of dryness on them that isn't quite right to me. And I think it's coming about from a elevation somewhere in the 4 to 6 kilohertz region on my head. Let me pick something that has a little bit more warmth going on. Okay, so I'm going to play It Comes and It Goes by Dido. I'm pretty sure John Bryan was the producer on this, and he has a particular approach to recording drums that I really like. They sound really warm, full, no like harshness or splashiness or anything like that. So I'm going to see if this headphone makes this song too warm. So actually, I'm having a little bit of trouble determining if the warmth is in the bass proper, like under 120 hertz or so, or if it's in that kind of low mid-range upper bass transition area. This headphone has a surprisingly present bass region though, it sounds like. Like I'm getting a lot of the fundamentals of the kick drum, and when the bass guitar, the plucked bass, I think, goes really low, it sounds like really big. On to another song. I'm gonna listen to Desert Island Disc by Radiohead. So if it's not clear, Radiohead's one of my favorite bands. This is a song I like for testing that sense of lateral distance, what a lot of audiophiles call width. I tend to call distance. So I'm gonna listen to that. I'm gonna kind of see how the side panda elements, kind of how far they go, and we'll see how this headphone handles it. Wow, this is pretty dang good in terms of both its imaging placement as well as it sounds like it's going a fair bit like out to the sides instead of just being a speaker directly next to my ear. I'm going to listen to I Don't Trust Myself with Loving You. There are a lot of moments where the low treble on this record is just a little bit too much on his voice. So I'm going to try this song, see how bad it is, and go from there. Okay, so two things pop out to me with this. One, this is a pretty warm mix, and it's a little bit too warm on this headphone for me. And I think it's definitely that 100 to 200 hertz region responsible. The second thing is that, yeah, there is a little bit of that kind of crashiness in the lower treble on his voice. The drums sound really nice, though. There's a nice sense of bigness to the snare drum that is really satisfying. Yeah, so wrapping up here, this might not be that impressive subjectively for a lot of people. In terms of tone and frequency response, I mean, the mid range is better than 99% of headphones anyway, so that alone gives it a reason to exist. You'll notice I didn't really mention the mid range in my impressions, and that's because it just sounded normal, but I think the treble might actually be the bigger issue for people. The lower treble elevation is definitely noticeable, and I think because the upper treble is dipped, it might be more apparent for a lot of people. I think a lot of people find the 6 series already too dark, and if that's the case for you, this is probably one you're not gonna like very much because it's even darker. I will say though, without giving too much away, this is the most excited I've been to spend more time with a headphone in a while. So keep an eye out for the full review of this coming on the audiophiles at headphones.com, probably within the next week. If you want to see measurements of this headphone, be sure to keep an eye on the forum at forum.headphones.com and the Discord server, discord.gg/headphones, because that's where I'll probably be posting the measurements of these first. And with that, that's pretty much all I have to say. So I'll see you guys next time. Later.